So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
Elon Musk is coming out guns a-blazing to protect children from gender-affirming care. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk just did an in-depth interview. It was great, and they got into the woke mind virus element that says we need to mutilate kids. It's for their benefit to affirm their gender. Always remember, your genitals don't define your gender. So we've got to cut them off to affirm your gender. And this is a topic that hits home for Elon. One of his sons, Xavier, went through the gender affirming process and now lives as a transitioned woman. And their relationship has been destroyed, probably for many reasons. But this hits home for Elon. That's one of the reasons why you saw the headlines last week. Elon Musk says X and SpaceX are moving headquarters from California to Texas, which is happening. Why is that? He's putting his money where his mouth is to stand up for kids. How's that work? Because Gavin Newsom, California governor, potentially presidential nominee, just signed a bill where the public schools in California, their staff don't need to notify parents if kids are using different pronouns or saying they're different genders. So in other words, Gavin Newsom signed a radical leftist bill that leaves children in more jeopardy, because who cares about children and wants to protect them more than their own parents? Nobody. So the California schools have just asserted themselves between parents and their ability to protect their children. Elon says, I see what you're doing, not on my watch. I'm taking my mega businesses elsewhere, out of California to Texas. In the small portion of this interview between Jordan Peterson and Elon, where they talk about kids and how they're in jeopardy, and Elon's own personal story with what he says, basically his son Xavier dying because of the woke mind virus, I find it really interesting. One, they're two fascinatingly smart dudes. And two, this is a very personal issue for Elon. So let's have a listen to the portion of the interview where they get into it.
One of the things that you've been relatively vocal about, and I understand that there's a personal connection to this as well. I'm particularly unhappy with what my colleagues in the psychological field have done with regards to gender-affirming care.
Right.
I think they are a pack of contemptible cowards.
Yes.
And I think that everyone who's been involved in this...
Fact check, true. Pack of contemptible cowards. Yes.
...in relationship to minors should go to prison.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, we've established everyone involved in this. All the medical professionals involved in affirming care, which used to be called mutilation until the sane act was labeled with a different word that less accurately describes what the act is. Everyone involved in that should go to prison. Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk agree on that. Do you agree? I agree.
Why do you agree? What's your oar in the water in this particular... This is the worst medical and psychological malpractice I've ever seen anywhere, including what I've done, what I've studied in reference to historical eugenics, what do you call those, prefrontal lobotomy, even the sorts of things that Nazi Germany, at least the bloody Nazis knew it was wrong and tried to hide it.
Yes.
Whoa, those are big claims, and those are done from Jordan Peterson's own research. This is worse than eugenics, cutting people's parts of their brains out to get them to behave better. And in his words, this is worse than what the Nazis were doing, and at least the Nazis knew it was wrong and tried to hide it. That's sobering to think about it that way.
Why are you engaged in this particular battle? I mean, you said you're going to move a couple of your company headquarters out of California because of the last legislative move that Gavin Newsom pulled with regards to the trans issue. So
yes, I mean, to be clear, there were many things leading up to that point.
Yes.
I was clear, like, look, it's not that it's the one straw; it's just the final straw.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a cumulative issue. Fair enough.
It's a cumulative issue.
Right. So it's not dramatic grandstanding. It's
no, and moreover, I have had conversations with Gavin Newsom before, where I said, if you pass legislation like this, if you sign legislation like this, that in my view puts children in danger, I will move my companies out of California.
And to me, that's the bottom line of all of this. It puts children in danger, just simply said. We'll get back to this intriguing discussion in a second, but first, instead of outsourcing your health, Do you like to take control of it? If you do, and you're like me, one of the frustrating components is, there's a lot of different things you want to do to take care of different aspects of your health, but you simply don't have time to do them. But what if I told you there was a solution that takes care of many of the different aspects of your health all at one time, like weight loss, detoxification, de-stressing you, helping you get better sleep, better skin? Well, I am here to tell you that solution is the Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket. It kills all those birds and more with one stone. If killing birds was good for your health. It's an analogy. I love the Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket. It is how I sauna, and there's no other sauna system on the market that's more convenient to use or more cost effective. It's not some big expensive blocky sauna system that takes up a lot of valuable space in your home. I do several 40-minute sessions a week. When it's time for my session, I roll it out, get in, heats up super fast, it's super powerful. Then after my session, it's a quick, easy cleanup, and I put it away. Bond Charge ships worldwide in rapid time. They do easy returns and exchanges, and it comes with a 12-month warranty. And all Bond Charge products are HSA, FSA eligible, giving you up to a 40% tax-free savings. Start increasing your metabolism to lose weight, get more ripped, reducing your stress, having more energy, sleeping better, and detoxifying yourself with a Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket. Get it now by going to bondcharge.com/JPReacts. And while you're there, use a discount code JPReacts to get 15% off everything Bond Charge offers. Enjoy. Now back to the interview.
And
He knew that ahead of time.
Okay, you've talked to him directly about this. What the hell is he doing? I cannot understand. I really cannot understand. I mean, the Democrats...
He's pandering to the far left.
Why did the Democrat moderates constantly pander to the far left?
Communism.
I worked with the Democrats in California for 5 years trying to get them to separate themselves from the far left. They wouldn't admit that they existed even, and they certainly would never separate them. They wouldn't admit, for example, that Antifa even existed.
Sure.
And
Well,
so
they're burning down buildings.
There's this unbelievable blind spot with regards to the far left radicals, and the moderate Democrats I think they're useful idiots fundamentally. So
Yeah, well, I mean, going back to the so-called gender affirming care, which is a terrible euphemism,
that's for sure.
it's really a child sterilization is what it should be.
No, there's mutilation too.
Mutilation.
Yeah, well, we want to make sure that amalgam is...
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's child mutilation and sterilization.
Yeah.
So, if we allow our words to be used accurately, we realize what you and I have already known. Gender affirming care, not a very accurate portrayal of what this process is, but child sterilization and mutilation, that is very accurate. Now, if you're looking to sell this mind virus and sell the procedures, that's not good packaging, not good labels to have on it. Hey, why don't you have your kid do some sterilization and mutilation? It's like, well, that sounds like it would be bad for my kid. Well, what about if we call the same thing affirming care? Well, that is some packaging that will get me on board.
Under the guise of gender affirming care and compassion.
Right.
Right.
It's evil.
Literally
I think
can't
it's evil.
imagine anything worse than that.
Yes, it's evil.
I think it's evil too.
I mean, you're taking kids who are obviously often far below the age of consent.
Yep. Confused, miserable.
Yes, the reality is that almost every child goes through some kind of identity crisis.
It's part of puberty.
I'm noticing Jordan Peterson likes to interrupt Elon a lot. Now I'm interrupting Jordan Peterson, interrupting Elon, just to get on board with the vibe.
Exactly. It's just part of growing up. So it's very possible for adults to manipulate children into or having a natural identity crisis into believing that they are the wrong gender.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that they need to be the other gender, or they need to be a boy, or boy needs to be a girl, and
that will solve all their problems.
And that will solve their problems, and then they give them sterilizing drugs, which are called also a misnomer, puberty blocker. These are sterilization drugs, so they can never have children again.
It's like any drug. If it's lethal enough, it could be a puberty blocker. Like give someone arsenic, like, oh, that's going to block puberty. Yeah, because it kills you, so you can't go through puberty.
You can have double mastectomies, the mutilation.
Have their forearms stripped to build non-functioning penises.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's macabre. I mean, we have an age of consent for a reason. That the reason you can't get, say, tattoos below age 18, or drink or drive, there are ages at which you can do things, because if we allow children to take permanent actions when they're 10, 12, 14 years old, they will do things that they subsequently greatly regret.
Yes, I've interviewed a couple of people who've done exactly that, and it's pretty damn painful.
We were like believing all kids, no matter what they said, and giving them affirming care accordingly. When I was a kid, man, I'd be on camera today with Batman transition surgery. Yeah, just like a permanent cape stapled to my back. It was probably made out of my own forearms somehow. I'm glad my parents didn't believe me.
So I think you doing.
Why are you willing to make this an issue? I mean,
well,
it's sort of like the nameless issue.
It happened to one of my older boy, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This was before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. And I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he.
That was a lie right from the outset. No reliable clinician ever believed that. There was never any evidence for that. And also, if there's a higher suicide rate, the reason is because of the underlying depression and anxiety and not because of the gender dysphoria. And every goddamn clinician knows that too.
That's what an intelligent, nuanced perspective says. The narrative perspective says, no, they'll definitely be suicidal. There's been studies done in Scandinavian countries, it's either Finland or Sweden, that show the suicide rates of people who get the gender affirming care. When you look at the long term, they're much higher than those who don't get the gender affirming care. So in other words, almost like 1984 in this area too. The gender affirming care is not care at all. It's mutilation and sterilization, and doing the thing to reduce suicides long term increases suicides. But Jordan Peterson's nuanced perspective, which I certainly happen to agree with, the underlying depression and anxiety has to be dealt with. Not this symptomatic how someone's trying to compensate for it. Just kind of like a way that was more trendy before gender transitions came on the scene, how they would cope with underlying anxiety and depression that wasn't being dealt with, but how they would cope and compensate for it is like cutting themselves. Can you imagine if we had like cutting affirming therapy? Like, we're coming to the clinic, we're going to cut the living hell out of your forearms, way more than you would ever do on your own, because if you don't, you'll commit suicide. So we have to cut the living crap out of you. Oh, you deal with your underlying depression and anxiety by having an eating disorder, you're bulimic? Cool. Well, we have bulimia affirming care for you. We're going to help you throw up even more. Or you're anorexic. Well, we have body dysmorphia care for you. Yeah, you're anorexic. We're going to affirm that. You should actually eat a lot less, because if you don't, we're afraid you're going to commit suicide. The nuance here matters from intelligent people, not the woke mob, not the media narrative.
And they're too cowardly to come out and say it, right? And so and then we end up in when I saw that lie start to propagate, it just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's like, I see. So you're telling parents that unless they agree to this radical transformation that their children are going to die, and you think that's moral, and you think that's true. That is so pathological that it's almost incomprehensible.
Very pathological. It's coercion, using intimidation and fear to get parents on board with this. The ultimate fear of any parent is the death of their child. Now, if you use that to manipulate the parent into, hey, if you don't do this thing that probably seems atrocious, your child will die. They'll take their own life. That is a very psychopathic way to manipulate the minds of parents who ultimately want the best for their children. It's like they have their love for their child weaponized against them.
I can't imagine a therapist doing anything worse than that, or sitting by idly and remaining silent while his colleagues are doing it. It's pathetic. It's
incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
It won't stop till that happens.
Yeah.
It'll just go underground. Puberty blockers are being accessed online by kids all the time through non-medical channels. So, yeah, It's not going to stop. Okay, so I see. So that's...
So I was tricked into doing this. It wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. So I lost my son, essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
all right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like. Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty. And lots of demolished kids. Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so
I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
Woo! Ooh, Elon vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after the woke mind virus destroyed his son. That is something I can respect, and he is doing a good job of it. He is very influential, and he really speaks out with a lot of common sense against the woke mind virus. He could easily bend and cower to it because I'm sure it would make his business life a lot easier. But I think Elon is standing on a very good principled hill right here, which I love, and I admire that. Let me know what you think about Elon's personal situation in the comments below. And I appreciate you watching this video, my friend. By the way, protecting our kids, you've heard me say it before, there is nothing more important. They're coming for our kids from all angles. Certainly their mind with a woke mind virus is one of the vectors of attack. We need to be on the lookout for it, and we need to be the protectors of our kids because no one else is going to do it for us. It matters. With that said, I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video, but until then, stay awake but not woke.